Hi, everybody. Um, I've been silent on social media this past week, but it was for a reason. I have been watching, reading, learning, talking with others in an effort to put together the pieces so that I could understand why, as a country, we are still where we are in terms of social injustice. I recorded several other videos wanting to express my thoughts and deleted them because in my gut I knew that I was filming them and coming from still a place of ignorance as a white woman. So please stay with me through the end of this video, or if you're reading the text, please stay and read through the whole text. If you're not willing to do that, I just bid you adieu and have a very wonderful day. um, I know that as I post my opinion, I will be receiving judgment. I'm sure that I will have people that are agreeing with me, some that don't agree with me. And then I think one of my biggest concerns is what I view as atrocities of how commenters treat each other within a post in the comment feeds. So my request for you as my social media friends is that before you attack, before you judge, that you really think and you actually listen to what I have to say, and that you actually listen to what others have to say. So I'm a strong believer in debate, but again, we are in a society now that just voices with no thought. And so I would hope that before you post, that you have put some thought into your comment and are bringing something forward that can create unity. So, I am a woman in the United States of America, but I will define this. I'm a privileged white woman in the United States of America. I know I'm privileged, but I know also that I'm only as privileged as women are allowed to be in this country. Again, please stay with me. I'm not turning this into a poor me post and women's rights post, but just bear with me. So I was born in the mid-60s and raised during volatile times of injustice. And definitely those were times I didn't understand, especially as a child. And as I grew up, I tried to comprehend what was happening back then and try to understand it and apply it to what is happening today. But my parents raised me to respect the life of another human being. Didn't matter. I respected other human beings. There was no skin color associated with that message. It was more that people are people and we are all equal. And that made sense to me. And that's how I saw the world. I saw it as a place that we are all supposed to be equal. But as time, for my safety grew as I grew up and got a little older and I could be outside on my own. I was taught that it wasn't safe to walk outside alone. But never did the discussion ever come up that it was not safe because I could be targeted wrongfully by an officer of the law, by the police. The officers were always officer friendly. The police were safe, and I didn't realize that there was a possibility that there could be unsafe, corrupted officers amongst the force. So I carried that optimism into my adulthood and couldn't fathom the idea that a policeman would purposely hurt someone, let alone kill them without cause. Additionally, I grew up as I continue to grow up as a woman in the United States, there were the lessons I was taught by society in general about being a woman in the United States. And I learned these lessons through others' opinions, advertising, television shows, the leaders I watched on TV and read from in newspapers. I learned it from toys, marketing, advertisement, friends, employers, etc. And this message, the messages that I started to understand were that actually girls and women aren't smart enough to do math or chemistry. Girls and women aren't capable of managing money. Girls and women aren't physically strong and therefore are to be dominated. Girls and women are too emotional. Girls and women are to please men. Women shouldn't be in the workplace. And if they are second-class citizens to men in that space. Anger from a woman is irrational behavior. A woman should be seen, not heard, and many other ridiculous lessons. Sadly, I've heard the following terms used by men to put each other down and to jibe their buddies, and they're things like this. You run like a girl. You're so weak. You're a pussy. Geez, get some balls. Stop crying like a girl, or stop crying like a woman and get to work, etc., etc. Then bring in years of sexual harassment women have faced for so many years at the office, just walking down the street, just being a woman in general. So, and to continue with this is the reality that yet women still have to fight to get equal pay for a job and the right to choose what is right for our own body. And I could go on and on. But now, I will attempt to place myself in the space of being a Black woman raised in the United States of America, where what has she been taught, right? What has she been taught by society as to who she is? What have her parents taught her to try and keep her safe when she walks outside? What are her societal rights, as a human being? What a terrible message is being sent to her family by society. She carries hundreds of years of oppression on her back because of the color of her skin, let alone being a woman. I see her as afraid that her father, her brother, her husband, son, daughter, or friend are already marked before even going outside. That she has to be worried about going outside, not only because she's a woman, but because she's also Black, because of the color of her skin. She not only has a societally placed mark of being Black upon her, but she has carried the same burdens as a woman of white privilege carries in this country. And I know that I've been so frustrated about women's rights in this country for so long that as white women, we cannot stand here and not also look at the burden of the Black women in our communities and what burdens they carry on top of that. I was so naive to think that a Black woman's burdens were exactly the same as mine. But aren't all women facing the same inequality as other women? Aren't all men given the same rights as other men? Aren't all men and women created equal? Shouldn't all laws and privileges be the same for all humans, no matter the color of their skin? We're all treated the same under the law, right? No, we are not. And I see that so much more clearly now. We, the United States of America and the world, are in the middle of a pandemic. We have an invisible sickness that's flowing through our societies. in our veins and our minds, and it's contagious. The one I speak of is not COVID-19. It is racism and is the act of oppression, the silent killer of millions upon millions, the vile mental illness that claims so many lives every single day and every year, year upon year, decade upon decade, and century upon century. The world has stepped up to try and slow the COVID-19 virus. We have implemented extreme measures to stop the spread of the virus. And I can't even imagine the funds that are being put into this fight and this effort. We've seen the incredible sacrifices here in the United States and beyond to stop this virus, to save our loved ones, and to keep our community safe. But this virus started to remove again the protective cover of the other virus called racism and oppression. And now we begin to see scientific studies, and these studies show us what we don't want to see is the unequal, oppressed millions. And it's staggering. Where's the unity to stop this virus? We don't want to realize and acknowledge that we have people with this oppressive, racist mental illness in positions they have no business being in. They have infiltrated ranks of service to the community. There, they spread their vile disease through their position of service, teaching others that this is the way to be. Then those that have caught the virus, they've caught this disease, continue to teach it and breed it within our communities. Then on each side of this virus fence, called racism and oppression, the anger grows, the hate grows, the division grows. When will humans learn? You must look back at history. If you are not from the United States, look at your own country's history. Then look further and further and further back. You can trace this illness of racism and oppression to the beginning of our existence. The vile illness has been with us since the beginning of time. Fighting, looting, riding into villages and burning them down, killing innocent people, raping, sex trafficking, stealing, shooting, wars, slavery, white-collar crime, killing people in the streets, stealing land, committing genocide, fighting and killing due to religious beliefs, hating others for their religious beliefs, hating others because they are different. The few in power oppressing the thousands. Then the thousands rise up and demand change. Then the oppressors feel fear and they try to validate their reasons for oppressing. The thousands of oppressed people get angry and begin to protest. And the oppressors start to feel fear. The oppressed feel fear, but they push for justice anyway. And some on the sidelines say, shame on the oppressed, shame on them for yelling. Shame on the oppressed for demanding justice and equality. Shame, shame, shame on you for whatever it might be. You must realize that we have that vile illness of madness within us. And unless we look at it, acknowledge it, and then rid it from ourselves, more will die. The need to change seems so broad that we may believe there is nothing each of us can do, but we can do something. And it starts with each one of us from all over the world, all over this country. We need to look at ourselves and really come to terms with where we are. I ask you my white friends. I ask that you take your blinders off and throw them away. And some of you don't realize you even have them on. And I didn't think I did. But I know now that I was wearing my rose-colored blinders. Please be willing to really see the United States of America for all of its current forms. Yes, the glorious ones. But don't try to cover up the issues you don't want to look at. We can't cover up racism. We cannot cover up oppression. Do not live in quiet silence. Choose to make a difference. Research, learn, and choose to start in your community in a way that will support essential and needed change for our oppressed citizens. As I look back on my life, I acknowledge the challenges and hardships that I went through, and some I never thought I would recover from. And looking at them are still very painful for me to see. But as I look back on those challenges, not a single one of those challenges was ever brought upon me due to the color of my skin.